Thank you, Letitia. Good morning, everybody, and cheers. I'm drinking here my cup of, or my glass, cold glass of mango juice. So I hope you're drinking something while we're going through this process. Okay, so let's get into day 2. Next slide, please. Okay, that's the guy, Wade Gale, and I'm working today with a team from BNY Mellon. We have James Lee and also Maribel Kanan. Next slide, please. Let's see what is on our agenda today. We have the GennyNet new pool processing module. We're going to go through just to give you an idea of how it works. We have certification module. And we have pool transfer system and GennyNet document custodian transfer. I actually believe those are for tomorrow. Next slide. Working with GennyNet, new pool processing module. Next slide. And this is what we're going to try to do. Accessing GennyNet, pool import file layout, the apply GennyMay edits, of course, host communication, pool submission. We're going to look at the forms. We're going to just talk about some common errors, and we're going to have some FAQs. And of course, you want to also pay attention to, you have a GennyMay single family training guide there. So you want to also use that as just one of your resources. Next slide. Okay. What should I say? Since everybody now should realize that we don't log into GennyNet the old way, you know, that way everybody had their I-5 ID. That's no more. We're now accessing GennyNet through My GennyMay. So once you log into My GennyMay, put in your credential, get your OTP, and it lands on the appropriate page. Under where it says Other Application, that's where you'll find GennyNet. So once you get into Other Application, you click on that, it takes you straight into GennyNet. So you don't have to worry about any user ID and password, one-time sign-on. So that's always a good thing. Next slide. We want to talk about the file layout. As most people know, as part of GennyNet processing, you have a flat file that we give you the records, how to build that file. And so most of our users currently are using a flat file to actually import their data into GennyNet. But that doesn't say if you don't have that, you can go in and actually do the manual import itself. The manual entry, I should say, not import, entry. So where to find that file, you will go to, it's right on the where it says page help. That's where it brings up that file layout, which most of the time, US end users might not be the one who actually build that file. So you need to pass it on to the appropriate people in your office, maybe a technology group, or maybe you do have a vendor that you get that import file from. And we do have a link here to the GenMay single family import file layout just to look at it. If by any chance you do have the layout and you're still not clear on anything, what we usually do most of the time in our space, we usually send just a mock-up, just make up a pool and send it to you so you can see how the structure is. So if that is something you would need from us, just get in touch with us so we can forward that to you. So you'll get a better idea of what the different fields are. You have the P records, the M records, the S records, the C records. So you'll see how that is laid out. Next slide. So this is just telling you how to actually do the import. And of course, you're going to create a file and label it somewhere on one of your drives. And then that's where you're going to go in and bring that file into the system. So this kind of explain what you'll see as you go through that process. Next slide. Wow, that is quick. We're on to doing a demo of just to demonstrate some of the process. Next slide. And that's we're going to do the first. We're going to choose the first file that's doing the import. So we just get the recording going. Okay, that's the GenMA main menu. Now we're on the main menu screen. And before we actually do anything, there are two ways to get your pool data into GenNet. You can do a manual data entry. That means you're going to enter all the data elements that's needed for that pool. If it's 1 loan, 3 loans, 100 loans, or we can build an import file. So I'm going to show you where you can find the import file layout in GenNet before we proceed. So we're going to go to data export / import. And we're going to choose on the new pool processing, we're going to choose import single family pool, new format. Then on the other side of the screen, we're going to go to where it says right up below, change my password. We're going to choose page help. Page help. And that's where we have the import file layout. Now, this file you need to get to your tech person who's going to build the import file. Sometimes people use a vendor, and this is already built. So once you get it, you can test it out. So we're going to show you some of the elements. We have the P records, which is most of the pool record. And we have M record, we have S records, C records. So this is what you need to pass on to your tech person so they can build you that import file layout. Okay, so let's proceed and go back to the main menu. Now we're going to do an import file. We have already set up a file, so we want to import it. So you should know where that file is actually saved to your local drive. So we're going to click and browse. We're going to identify that file. Once where it says import file, that's on our P drive, ZZ9103MSF. We give the file the pool number. Easier to identify that way. We have a section that says run GenMA edits. This can take a long time. It depends on the larger pool. We're not going to do that. We're just going to import the file itself. We're going to click on import. And it's going to say, make sure that you have added the pool header, which we did, because it's a part of the file layout that's been added to the import file. So we're good. Going to click on OK. We're going to see if that pool came in successfully. Good. That's what we want to see. Pool imported successfully. We just want to check some results. So let's go up to the section that says results and see what was imported. We have a master agreement record imported. We have 3 mortgage record imported, and we have a subscriber record imported. So that's good. We can also go to the area that says GenMA edits. And it says GenMA edits not run. So we know we have to run this edit to make sure the pool has passed the edits. So we're good. The pool is imported. Now I want to show you what the import file looked like in terms of the data elements. So we're going to go back to the main menu. And now on the data entry / review, new pool processing, single family processing. These are the fields that needs to be filled in order for a pool to be successfully submitted. We have to have the 11705, 11706. We have single family serial note schedule A. That screen is used for SN, serial note pool, so we won't be using that as part of our process today. Then we have single family subscriber. My mistake. Then we have certification and agreement 11.7.11b. And the last thing on that screen we're going to need to do is apply the GenMate edits for a single family. Now let's try and see what the 11.7.05 looks like, pool detail. On this screen, we can just do search, and any pool comes up for that issue month, we can pick from the list. We're going to look at ZZ9103MSF on the 11.7.05 subscribe, the pool details screen. Now, these are all the data element that was imported. You notice some fields are blank, like the FTN field is blank. That field only comes up when you submit the pool, so it will fill in with the FTN information. Description is blank. That comes in when you reject a pool on the custodian side. Signed by, that field is filled in when you submit the pool using your RSA token. And you notice some of the data elements in red are from the import information that came in. Now the section in black are filled in according to your master agreement. Information like your custodian ID, and also you notice at the bottom where it says your PNI and TNI information is also filled in. That came in from your master agreement. You have the issue date that's filled in. You have the maturity date that's filled in. And also you have the settlement date. That's the agreement you made with the investor for the pool to settle on that day. That's the day the Fed will make the settlement. If you notice at the bottom where it says just pool information, you have latest last pay date. What the system did, it picked up the latest last payment date from the pool from all the loans, and will determine the maturity date. Number of participants, that's the subscriber information. If they were in a short-term maturity, it will show. Short-term UPB will also show. It also picks up the highest UPB amount. And also pick up the total position amount. That's the pool, that's the amount you're going to be issuing for that pool. So that's basically the 11.7.05. Now let's try and see if we can see what the mortgage information look like. There are 3 loans in the pool. We're just going to look at one just to give you an idea what the data elements are when the pool is filled out. Yes. And again, we have pool header. And just to let you know, this IREC is collapsible if you don't want to go through all the screen and see all of this. So let's collapse the pool header information and just bring up the general information. The general information is the most information on the pool. So you have the pool number, which is a number that's created by you, the issuer, in your system. You have the case number. So if it's a FHA case number, you'll see the mortgage type says FHA there. You have the P&I amount. You have the OPB, which is the original principal amount. You have the unpaid balance. That's after the amortization. And this one loan had a unscheduled principal amount, so it also pick up that curtailment amount as part of the import. And then you go down to other thing. You have the interest rate. Let's go over the other side. Where you'll find the interest rate. We have a section called mortgage margin. You notice the mortgage margin is blank. That only pertain to if you're doing your ARM pools. So we're not doing an ARM pool here. We're doing an MSF. So there's no mortgage margin. We have the first payment date of the loan. We have the last payment date of the loan. We have the loan origination date. And go further down, you'll see loan purpose code, LTV amount, loan type code, living unit. All that information are part of that import file layout. So you want to make sure you get that information correct. And then if you go further down, we have the borrower's information. The first name, the last name, the social security number, and the credit score. Just to let you know, the social security information, when it's submitted, does not go over to the custodian. The custodian brings up this loan on their side, it will show up as XXX. They will not see the actual social security number. Then we have the property information. That's the property address. We have the city, the state, and the zip code. And of course, we have some other general information on the loan. If there's a MIN number, if the loan is registered with MERS, you'll have that 18-digit MIN number. And of course, the mom, it's a yes. The mortgage, I forget what that's called, but I'll find it out for you. So that's just give you an example of what the mortgage information looks like on the loan level. Now let's go to the subscriber. Now the subscriber information is the delivery instructions. This is what you need to make sure you have the correct information, because this is what's going to be sent over to the Fed so the delivery can be made on that specified settlement date you have on the 11/7/05. You have the ABA information, then you have the delivery instruction. So this is a JP Morgan Chase /cost/1234. That's the delivery instruction that the Fed needs to make that delivery. And then you have additional information, attention accounts department. Then you have the position amount. The position amount is all the pool amount should equal to that position amount. Just to let you know, there are times that you can have more than one subscriber information. But if you have two, those two amounts must equal to the entire pool amount. So please be careful. Make sure you have the proper delivery instructions. If you do not have the proper delivery instruction, when this pool information is sent over to the Fed, and the Fed is doing their due diligence, if it's incorrect, it will be rejected and come back to us at BNY Mellon as a DK. And we would have to get in touch with you, get the new delivery instructions. You want to make sure it's correct, because you don't want to mess up your settlement date. You promise the Fed, or not the Fed, your investor this on the 17th, and it's not being delivered because of the delivery instruction. So be careful, make sure you have the correct information there. Okay, next we're going to go to the certification and agreement form. And again, this is all a part of the import file layout. All this information came in. Can you imagine if you were doing this manually? You'd have to enter all of this information manually for every loan or every pool. Now we have this screen is a little bit different. We have two statements that we have to choose the correct statement for this particular pool. So we're going to click on edit, and it brings up both statements. If you choose the first statement, then you have to make sure you send forward that 11/7/11A form to the custodian by clicking on yes. If you choose the second statement, doesn't need to send that 11/7/11A form to the custodian. We're going to click and choose the first statement. So we're telling them, and just to let you know, the 11/7/11A form right now is a physical form. So you have to submit that form to them, either send it to them via UPS, via FedEx, because they need to have that form as part of the process. Let's do an update. Successfully update. Now let's go back to the main menu. So as part of our import, we have looked at the 11/7/05. We have looked at the 11/7/06. We have looked at the single family subscriber. We have looked at the certification and agreement. And imported, we want to find out if it was correct. Do we need to make any changes? Do we need to go in the pool and correct some information? So that's what this does. And it's also checking for all the requirements for a MSF pool behind the scenes per Jenny Mae. So it's doing also that due diligence. So we get on this screen and we're going to find the pool that we need. We're going to select our pool. So let's go down and find ZZ9103. There it is, MSF. We're going to put the check mark in it, and we are going to make sure bring it over on the other side to make sure. We're going to use our one arrow there, bring it over. That ZZ 105, 109, 103 MSF. Now let's go back to the bottom of the screen. You notice you're going to see warning and fatals. If you're a newbie, first time in GenNet's, first time issuing a pool, setting up a pool, I would suggest for users, you use that warning and fatal errors first. So you'll get familiar with that. If you become an expert and you know what the warnings are going to be like, and you want to just use the fatal alone, that's when you'll just click on fatal. So we're going to use warning and fatal errors. So we're going to go back up to the top of the screen, and we're going to click on that error that says apply edits. I hope, let's cross our fingers. Darn, there are error messages on the pool. That means we have two fatal. Latest last pay date must equal pool maturity. We have to fix that before we can send it over to the custodian. And the sum of our FRB subscriber position must equal pool OAA. So those are two things we have to correct. And what we'll do, we'll pause right here and we'll make the correction after this. So I'm gonna pause. Okay. Thank you, Wade. I never expect that. I forgot that I recorded this, and it scared the hell out of me when I heard my voice. But that was just give you an idea of what happens in the import part of it. And if you're going to be doing user manual. If you're going to do manual entry in GenNet itself, there are some, you can go in and click on the page help, and it tells you and explains what some of those fields are and what information that needs to be there. So for manual entry, we do have that as part of the page help screens in GenNet. So we have actually imported a pool. We have gone through the different fields just to make sure everything is okay. We applied our GenMA edits, and we found out that there were some error messages. So in order for us to move forward, get this pool out to our custodian, because we have a deadline, we promised investors a certain time to get this pool delivered. So we have to make sure we clear those edits. So the next thing we want to do is show you how to go about identifying the errors and try and clear those edits in GenNet. And I think that is on our recording number 2. So can we have that, please? Okay, so we identified there were 2 error messages. Okay, we have applied our GenMA edits, and now we came up with 2 fatal errors. Anything that says fatal has to be corrected before we can actually submit this pool. I noticed what these 2 errors are. One says, the first one, latest last pay date must equal pool maturity date. So I know where to find that. That can be an easy fix. I know I have to be on the 11705, the pool details screen, to make that change. The next one, the sum of the FRB subscribers position amount must equal the pool OAA. So that's definitely in a subscriber screen. So I know where to go make my changes. So we're going to edit from the screen and go back to our return to our main menu. And on the main menu, we're going to go back to data entry, new pool processing, single family processing, and we're going to choose single family pool detail 11705. We're going to just search and put in and just pick a pool number from that listing. And there's our pool ZZ9103. And again, I mentioned that correct maturity date. Part of the process when you're processing your pool is you should know this all the time. The latest last pay date equal to the pool maturity. The latest last pay date equal to the pool maturity. You can always find the latest last pay date at the bottom of the 11705 screen, the pool detail screen, your summary page when it summarizes the information on the system. So let's go down to that part. And where it says latest pay date, it says 02/01/2051. So the loan, the latest last pay date in the pool, along with that should be the maturity date, 02. Let's go and see what we have for the maturity date. For maturity date, we have 01. So that's not good. We have to make a change. So to make that change, we have to do edit. Once we do edit, we go down and change maturity from 01 to 02. And at this point, if we want to make any more changes, if we want to change our settlement date, we can do that too. I'll keep that settlement date there. I won't change it. We can go in and change that because we could have come up with a new agreement with our investor that they want a different date. So once the change is made, let's click on update and save that information. Saved successfully. So that's a good thing. So our next correction we have to make was on the subscriber screen, I should. So let's go to subscriber. And it brings up the information right away. And that has to do with the position amount. So we know that the position amount here should have been 745,091. That's what it is. And we have 745,090. So that would give you an error message. So let's edit and make the change. And again, you don't need to put any 0.00 there. Once the system saves the information, it will add the zeros. And remember, generally pools are issued with zeros, no tail, and no 0.01 or anything like that. So once you have made a change, let's do an update. And save successfully. That's good news. So both of our changes are done. Now let's go back to our main menu. Now, since we have made both changes from that listing, now we need to make sure that the error message have been passed. So we're going to go back to apply GenMay edits. We're going to select our pool again. We're going to bring it over on the other side with a one arrow. And we're going to apply edits. And then at this point, it says pool number, GenMay edit, pool number ZZ9103 MSF, GenMay edit pass. And at this point, this is when we jump for joy and we say, thank you, Jesus. I'm able to get my first pool out and I'm feeling good. But you're not done because the pool has to be submitted. So at least we have actually gone through the GenMay edits and we have shown you how to clear the GenMay edits. So I'll pause here for any questions or answers. Man, this guy is too dramatic for me. I never know these things were recorded. I thought I was going to talk while they were showing, but I guess I did that. So we have gone through doing the import. We have shown you what the screens look like. We have set up just a little, just showed you two errors. Two of the most common errors that I think people tend to make when they're actually setting up their pools is the maturity date, and a lot of times the subservice amount. That stuff is never, subscriber amount, I should say. Why am I mixing up those two words? So that's why we want to show you how to go ahead and clear those. And part of the process I mentioned about warning and fatals, I would suggest if you're a newbie, if you're new to the process, keep your warnings so you'll get an idea. There are some warnings to the system, what Jenna is saying. Flag this as a warning. We are okay with this, and we'll allow the pool to pass with these warnings. But I would say if you're doing this for the first time, do the fatal and warning when you're actually doing your apply GenMay edit, so you get used to it. So maybe the next couple months when you're doing this, say, okay, this is going to be a warning. I know that, so I can just do my fatal. But I would always recommend you to do your fatal and warnings just to see what the pool looks like when it's actually imported and go through the apply GenMay edits. So we have done the import. We have applied the edits, and we are jumping for joy. We are happy. So the next step next thing we'll go in is see if we can do the submission on the pool. So we're going to try and go into the third recording. Trying to find a pool on reports. So once we locate the pool, goes to the report center, and we're able to actually view the report itself. It goes through that center, and it shows you the status of the report right there. You can refresh if you want. Sometimes it doesn't work. You might just, being impatient, to click on that refresh button, but the system goes through at its own pace. And all the forms that you're printing goes through this process, 11705, 11706, the 11711B. Once it's cleared, this is time I usually just try and do something else until it clears. It does take a while because it's a large database with a lot of pools over the years. So once the status change, then we're allowed to print that form. And what I suggest, if you have more than one pool to print, 11705 to print, just do that at the same time so you don't have to print the forms one by one. You can select from the list. Okay, it's now complete. So let's see what we come up with. Let's click on open. And it's coming somewhere. Yes. And here's the form. FTN number. If you go, we have the P&I information, the master agreement information that was added to the pool. Remember yesterday we talked about master agreements. Need to have them in by December 31st so it can be renewed and start for your pool in 2022. So that's 11705. I usually suggest print the forms after you submit. So it does have the FTN number on there, the FTN on there. And the reason why I said that, because just in case there's any discrepancy, you submit something and we are not seeing it, you have evidence that it was submitted. So let's try and retrieve the 11706 now. Schedule a pool mortgage with data. Going to locate the pool. Basic, the same way. And we're just selecting a pool that's already out there. The pool number is shown. Click on OK. And go back to report download. Then it goes through that process. And this, if it's a small pool, it will come in no time. If it's a larger pool, then it's going to take some while to generate all the necessary information. So let's click on the confirmation number. And once that change itself, it allows you to print the form. Okay, we can print now. Open, and then it shows you all the necessary information. So this pool was submitted, so it have the FTN number. There at the bottom, you know, it says file certification number. That was not certified by the custodian yet. Okay, give you the information on the makeup of the pool, FHA, VARD, all of that stuff is there. Then it give you the information on the particular loans in the pool. And again, always suggest print these forms after you have submitted, so we have the FTN on append to the documentation. It's a very small pool, so it only has 3 loans. If it was a larger pool, of course, you'll be going through that second page for a while. So those are the reports. And again, try and print your reports after you submit, so you have the FTN information as a part of that. Okay. I think we have one more video to go through. So let's bring up 4, it should be 4. We're back to the main menu. We're satisfied that we did our right thing with the pool. Now we're going to do the submission. Select pools to submit. If that pool had passed the edit, it should be showing up there now. There's a pool we submitted. So we want to bring it up, check it, and bring it over on the other side as a selected pool to submit. We're going to click on OK. Once that's done, it's loaded in the section where it says pool to be submitted. That's the pool number we imported. So we're going to go down to the area that says submit. Now this is when you bring in your user ID information. That's your MyGenMai ID, and of course your password. Once that's validated, click on OK. Brings up a screen now for your RSA token. Remember, only authorized signers can submit. So you're going to put in your 4-digit PIN, and then the system is going to generate a 6-digit code that you're going to wait from, not the system, from your RSA token. Once that's available, you're going to put it in. I usually suggest wait until it changes so you don't mess up. Submit successful. So that's good news. That pool was submitted to your custodian. It's available now for your custodian. Notification goes out to your custodian saying there's a pool out there for issuer 1, 2, 3, 4, and they can actually go in and do their part on the pool. So I usually like to go back and look at the pool so we can see what the screen actually looks like. Let's bring up the pool. Notice that the pool says pass edit. It's now posted, and the FTN is now appended to that pool. Just want to bring it up on 11705 screen so we can see that too. You see the FTN is there, and that consists of the pool number, the issue type, pool number, issue date, not issue date, time, and a security check that make up 32 digits. So all the necessary information now in red. You cannot edit this pool if you want to. The pool will have to be submitted, rejected by the custodian. Okay. So that's very quick tutorial there in how to import, view the screens, apply the edits, print your report, and do the submission. It seems very simple because this is just a GenNet piece. I know there's always a part on the outside that you have as the users have to gather that information. You have to figure out which pools, which loans you're going to put in the pool type. Of course, I just showed you our M pool, the multiple pool, which is the most popular pools right now that's being issued, the M's and the CSF. Just remember, M pools, we had talked yesterday about MIPs, and no, not MIPs, EINs. The M pools do not need an EIN when you're actually setting them up. You'll need that for your C pools, your X pools, and if you do HMBS pools, you're going to need an EIN. And again, if you did not get that EIN via IRS, you can always get in touch with us to get a temporary EIN per Ginnie Mae. We'll ask you to send us a request. We'll prepare that EIN, temporary EIN, and send it off to you. So you can actually use that EIN in your Ginnie Mae pool if you're not doing an M pool. Once that EIN is available through the IRS, we're going to ask you to send that permanent number back to us so we can go in and add that to the pool data on Ginnie Mae's back end. Okay, is there any questions, any concerns with what I went through? I know for new people, sometimes we talk a lot and we mention acronyms. Something I said, UPB, unpaid principal balance, OPB, original principal balance. You'll see those, you'll hear us say that, but just have to get used to the acronym. Ginnie Mae's world is full of a lot of acronym, and their user manual also. Not in their user manuals, the Bible. There's a glossary area that gives you some of those acronyms and the actual names. So you just want to get used to some of those. Okay, next screen. Okay, this is just to tell you about the user manual itself, just where you can find some of the information that we were talking about. We're dealing with working with GennyNet. That was a big piece we were dealing with today. We have logging in, single family pool details, so we kind of go through the screens and give you an idea. And also on GennyNet itself, there's a page help if you're not familiar with some of the terms that might be able to help you. So we just want to give you the aid that will help you with your daily processing. You know, sometimes it can be intimidating, but once you have those tools, you might feel a little bit more comfortable. And of course, we're always there. The 800 number, the email address, send us something and we'll try our best to try and make it a little bit easier for you. Next slide. Oh, great.
Hey Wade, real quickly before we go on break, we do have a question in the chat that I wanted to go ahead and read out. A question from Kelly. It says, where can I locate the definition of the ARM information needed from the 11706? I have some pools that the information is missing in our MSP and I don't know what information to input. I've never worked with these ARM pools, or should I send the question or should I send, maybe she means save. Should I send the question for the outreach call? I hope that makes sense to you.
Was it Kelly?
Yes.
Kelly, just send the information to me. Send it at wadegale@bnymellon.com. Let me see if I can try and get the answers for you, okay? And then we can go from there. And I see, Vaughn, do the warning needs to be cleared? The warnings are sometimes, like you might have some warning on the MIP amount. If you can clear those warnings, Vaughn, that's okay. But the warnings, Ginnie Mae did put the warnings in to say it's slightly different from what our policy was, so we'll allow that. So if you can clear them, it's fine. If it's a warning, it will go through as long as all the fatals are cleared. So I hope that answers your question there. Maribel, do we have something to you do now, or when do we do that?
We have the countdown for 15 minutes, so I'm going to start the countdown now. I guess everyone can return at 11?
11 o'clock is fine. Okay, thank you everyone, and we'll see you in 15 minutes. Okay, have a good break. Okay, everyone, welcome back. Hope you're able to maybe just walk around, get some some tea or some orange juice and just relax until the next. So we have a little bit more session to go. Maribel, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Do you have something to do? I think.
You can announce what it is, Wade. So we have a little trivia. A little trivia.
To throw some stuff in.
Yeah. To get you guys back into the mood to hear Wade's voice again. So
Why?
the first trivia is, I don't know. We're going in for punishment, I guess. So the first trivia is, what's Wade's favorite juice to drink in the morning? Is it apple juice? Is it grape juice? Is it orange juice? Or is it mango juice?
Aaron said scotch, but Aaron, no. Is on natural is high.
That will never happen.
That would probably be me, not Wade. Me and Letitia.
Yeah, pretty much.
So Wade, do you want to give us the answer?
Of course, the answer is mango juice. And I did say it early in when I said good morning and I said, everybody cheers with my glass of mango juice. So it is mango juice. I just love that tropical feeling in the morning when I'm drinking my mango juice. So it is mango juice. So 65% were correct.
Okay.
Scotch,
so we have
no.
2 more. Maybe after this session he would. What happened to my poll? All right, poll number 2. Okay, so the question is, who is going to win the World Series this year? Oh, wow.
Oh, somebody jumped out there pretty quick.
Crystal agrees with you, with the mango.
But wait, she said it's a Caribbean ting. It's a Caribbean ting.
Ting.
Yes. Love it.
The cause, Letitia, really?
Hey, why did Steve have to jump in and rub it in? Yeah, I know, Steve, I know.
I don't care. The Mets are not in there.
How about anyone but the Red Sox?
I know why we have 41% said Red Sox. Ugh.
They're actually, I think they might win. They're looking good, actually. They're looking good.
Okay, I don't like these results. Let's end this poll. Okay, last one. Where is it? There we go. Okay, where is Wade's accent from?
Oh, please.
Jamaica, New York.
Well, that's a good one. What?
Wade.
I don't think
Where's your
I sound
accent
like
from,
a
Wade?
Asian.
Where's your accent?
Don't give it away. Don't give it away. I know that your blood is boiling right now, but don't you give it away.
And you have to say in your native language.
Oh my goodness, you guys are going to have him lay this accent on even thicker just to prove. See, this is great. I love it. All right, Wade.
Okay, all my life, I'm sort of like a color in color purple. All my life I've gone through this. My Jamaican friends call me fake. They say I'm not I say I'm really a Jamaican. I have to tell people that. But yeah, man. Wagwan. Iriman. See, I was born in Jamaica, so I have a Jamaican accent. Thank you, 57%. I don't think I sound like
but he is from Queens. Close to Jamaica.
Yeah, live in Queens right now, yes. Thank you very much. This was fun. This was really fun.
Any New Yorkers in the chat want to give a shout out? No, just Aaron loving on Boston. All right, Crystal. Brooklyn.
Okay, that was fun. Now back to business.
I really appreciate
back
that.
To business.
Okay, so the first part of our session, we had gone through, just give you an overview of what happens. We just want to just go through some of these slides. The apply to GenMay edits must be passed before a pool can be posted to the network. Yes. The function check the pool and the mortgage data against GenMay's MBS guide requirements. So that's what we have in the back end. If there are errors, individual records must be corrected and GenMay edits must be applied again. We showed that. A pool is not available for transmission to the network until it passes all GenMay edits. Yes. And you can have warnings there, but once all the fatals are cleared up, that's the most important thing. Fatals are gone, and you apply that edits again, and you get GenMay edit pass, you're good to go. And again, we just want to tell you about going through the GenMay single family training guide. If you need any tips or just want to make reference to anything, and then again, always stress, if you're not clear in anything, if it's a policy issue and you need to reach out to your account executive, just reach out to them on that. If it's you're putting in stuff in GenNet and you're not too sure of some of the fields, don't hesitate to give us a call or send us an email. Next slide, please. And this is just some of the screens that is how you go about doing the apply GenMay edit. So just want to show you in part of the PowerPoint. So you apply the GenMay edits and you bring the pool over on the other side and you proceed. And we tell you where those are in the user manual. So that might work a little bit easier for you to just go to those pages themselves. Next slide. And this is just, we kind of generate what an error message would look like in your process. And we also tell you where you can find some of those examples in the user manual. I just want to let, there are a couple, we only most of the time highlight some error messages, not all, because the error messages all depends on the pool type you're doing. So sometimes they're generic ones, but sometimes there's specific error message to pool types. So we decided not to list all of those error messages. And you know what? Sometimes a user come up with a unique error message that the system is giving you, and that's not something that we had even planned for because of some of the data elements might have been imported in, or it could be just an error message importing the data in. So that is something you'd have to call us on, and we'd have to try and do some troubleshooting with our technology, people to try and help you on that. Next slide. This is just, again, we saw this earlier, the host communication. And again, if the pool has not passed the GenMay edit, it's not going to be available in host communication. Just remember that. All the pools have to pass the edit. So if you had gone to host communication, that it would have been blank. If that one pool Z something another was not passed. So that's very important. So this screen shows you to do that. And also if you do pit pools, I don't know if anybody actually done any tie pool, put pit pools, immediate issuance up front, so you'll have to accept the pools if you do that. That's what that screen also is used for, to accept your pit pools before they're certified. Next slide. Again, this is just the same host communication, how to go about doing the part of the submission. We just capture the screen, so it might be a little bit easier for you to understand. Instead of just the recording, you have this to help you with that process also. Next. Reports. We did this earlier in part of one of the recordings. Some of the reports, some of the forms you can actually print on the system. 11705, 11706, the pool mortgage, schedule of pool mortgage with data, and schedule of serial notes. That means if you do serial note pools. Right now, serial notes are done by our users in Puerto Rico. Haven't seen a serial notes in a while, but those are that territory usually do most of those pools. Next slide. Yes, just some more error message we just want to suggest for you. Incorrect maturity date on the pool details screen. Cross-check latest last pay date of loans with pool maturity date. We had mentioned that. Update maturity date on the pool details screen. That's how you'll do make the correction. And the subscriber total position doesn't equal the pool amount. We highlight those two errors today because those are some of the common ones. So we just wanted the possibility you're setting up your pools, you could get those two. So update the subscriber position amount. And remember, the position amount is the amount that's going to be issued. And that's the piece that doesn't need any sense. Now, years back, GenMate's doing this for years now, you don't issue the pool with any tail. So it's always 0, 0, no tail. They got rid of that tail stuff some years ago. And cannot submit a pool on host communication. I just mentioned that. Must apply GenMate edits prior to submitting pool. So these are some other errors that I just want to mention. The way GenNet is set up now, you don't pick up that error. You pick it up if you have the actual pool number on your system. If you decide to just make up a pool number and it's not on GenNet now, and that pool will go, your custodian will get it, they can certify it, but guess what? It's going to fail on GenMate's system when we do our second due diligence, when we go through and check the pool information that you have commitment authority, that the edits are passed. It's going to fail on the back end. We're going to get a message saying pool number does not belong to issuer 1, 2, 3, 4. And that means you're going to get a call from the pool processing area saying you have to delete this pool and resubmit it with a pool that's linked up to your issuer number. So be careful on doing that. And I'm going to say something here. In our new system that we're developing, SFPDM, we have that check up front. So right away we know that's a good thing on the SFPDM side. So, but GenNet is checked on the back end. But in the new system that's coming out soon, or later I should say, we have that check up front. So if you put in the wrong pool number and it doesn't belong to you, your issuer number, you're going to get a flag right up front. So that's a big improvement to what we currently have in GenNet. And also, another big error is commitment authority. Make sure you have enough commitment authority to issue your pools. And again, you're not going to get that check up front. That check happens after the pool is downloaded and going through its second edit check on GenMate's back end. And then it's going to say pool number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as insufficient commitment cannot be logged. That we're going to send that information to your account executive. They're going to get in touch with you. I'm mentioning these things like the pool number and the commitment authority because those things can cause delay. Because for the pool number, you have to delete that pool. You have to put in a new pool number. If you're doing an import or you had the pool in already, you go in and change that. You have to apply the edits. You have to send it to your custodian again. And I would suggest if that happens, you want to let them know. Because in their mind, that pool was already certified with all those loans. I know you're changing it because of the pool number. So you definitely want to inform the custodian that these are the same loans, but I had to change the pool number because the pool number does not belong to us. And I got an error message on the back end on Ginnie Mae's system. And commitment authority, once we get the commitment authority on the pool and it's updated, we'll proceed with processing that pool. But it could be a day. It could be 2 days. It could be 3 days before you wire all that information to Ginnie Mae. In the meantime, you had a specific settlement date. You made an arrangement with your investor that you're going to have these securities on this day. But because of that, because of this, you did not know upfront that you didn't have enough commitment, that pool could be delayed. So you see, there are certain things you just have to be careful and watch out for when you're getting ready to do your pools. I think currently in e-notification, every morning you do get a balance of your commitment authority. So maybe it's best that you check that also, just to be on the safe side before you start setting up your pools. Next slide. Just some FAQs here. My pool was issued and I need to pull it back. Who do I contact? And of course it says one of the things why we have the account executive there, because if the pool is issued, it's right now out of BNY Mellon hands, and you'll have to tell the custodian, your AE, what's the reason why you want to pull this pool back. So it might have to end up going through maybe a termination process. If it's a XCL or XSF, sometime if it's an M pool, that becomes an issue, because remember, these are multiple pools. You're not the only person in that pool, in that MIP. So that might become a common issue there in terms of want to collapse one of the pool in that MIP. So if the pool is issued, you definitely have to reach out to your account executive and get their guidance on what to do there. I need to adjust my delivery instructions, and my pool was submitted/certified. We suggest you give us a call at the Ginnie Mae customer support number, and then at that point we need to see where the pool is. If the pool is already issued, that means we did our due diligence at 4 p.m. that day. We won't be able to help you again. We're going to send you to your AE. But if we have the pool ready and ready to go, ready for issuance, we can stop it. And we can also have you to tell us what your delivery instruction is, and we can send that pool, the delivery instruction, over to the Fed settlement desk, and they can make the change before they send out that pool to the Fed. And the only thing for that is if you have delivery instruction changes and you send that to us, the changes only happen on our end. Just to let you know, when you print that 11705, it's going to show the initial information that was sent in the pool. That information does not get updated. So another suggestion is maybe have some form of notation on that the delivery instruction was changed after the pool was submitted, so that you can do. What are the cutoff times for the new pool submission? That's why we showed you that calendar yesterday. Try and utilize that calendar for your daily use, especially on the MSF, those multiple pools. They have a specific time for cutoff, and you don't want to submit something and it get cut off and you weren't able to issue that pool that month. Because if you submit on a last day and the custodian did not accept that pool because they just missed it or their workload was heavy and they missed your pool and they tried to go in and and certify the pool, they're not going to be able to do it because that pool had passed the cutoff. So you just want to be careful. And what happens? You have to end up maybe set up the pool for a new issue month. So those are the things you have to look at that calendar. Look at the cutoff date for especially the M pools. The X pools and the C pools usually have a cutoff the last business day before, the second to last business day before the end of the month. You can submit pools and have them in our office by 2 p.m. Those will still get issued on the last business day. So just sit and plan your settlement date with who you're giving those securities to, so everybody will meet the time frame. What I usually suggest actually is when you're setting up your pools, if you can send them a little bit early than the actual settlement date, don't send it the day before, because there could be something on the back end that prevent you from getting these pools settled on time. So see if you can send it in advance, maybe 3 days in advance, so the custodian can actually do their piece and the pool can come to us, and then we can go through, make sure there's no edits, and it's ready for delivery. Don't do it on the last day or the last minute, because sometimes there could be errors in the back end and that prevent you from meeting your settlement date. Next slide. Break. Really? For what?
No.
For my voice? Oh, okay. Certification module. Okay. Next slide. The initial certification, of course, is done by your document custodian. Then we have request of release of documents, 11708. We have final certification / recertification. We have a little knowledge check here in this segment. Okay, again, to do certification module, it's all a part of GenNet. So you'll go to MGM again. You'll choose GenNet under other application, and then you proceed into the GenNet system. And again, all those GenNet users, I'm sure you like this better now. You're just logging in one time. You're not going into logging into GenNet with that old ID and sometimes you forget it. No, you're just logging in with the MGM ID, and it takes you, select your application, takes you right into GenNet. I think that was a good move for a lot of the users. So next slide. And again, we had mentioned this yesterday. This is just a little bit more now on the custodian side. What happens when the custodian gets the documents to do their process? When the pool has been submitted to the GenNet network, the document custodian must certify the pool. GenNet sends an e-notification to the custodian advising them that there is a pool awaiting certification. The custodian completes the certification in GenNet. This initiates the pool processing timeline. So when that pool is certified, that's when our timeline starts. So the issuer submit pools to GenNet, document custodian certified. Network sweeps, we do the sweep at 2 p.m. and at 9 p.m. for all certified pools. And then we do our due diligence when it comes over to us. The pool files is reevaluated. You better believe that. We do another check just to make sure nothing was missed on the GenNet side. New issue file with QSIP number is generated and send off that to the Fed. The pool delivery file created for pool settlement, the approvals for the pool issuance, and then all that information is available on GenMate's central registry where they keep all that information. So just to let you, I think I did mention it on Monday, we do our due diligence that we call it in our office release. That's when we release our pools to the Fed. So if there's an issue or you found out that something was wrong with a pool you submit the day before and you did not delete it yourself, you can call us and we can, before we do our 4 o'clock release to the Fed, we can actually take that pool up out of our pool of submission and make the correction. But of course, it might be a delay to you, so just want to let you know that. So, and keep in mind too, the 2 p.m. and the 9 p.m. sleep. Anything that's done at 2 p.m. that's like 2 p.m. today, we're going to process in our 4 p.m. release. Anything for 9 o'clock, it's going to come in tomorrow. We'll process next day, 4 p.m. And for the document custodian, although as part of our system in GeniNet, we do send a e-notification to them, I always tell my users, just have an open conversation and just with your document custodian. Although we're sending a notification over to them, you know what, sometimes they miss those notifications. And it might be a lot of pools you send over on that day, you really want them certified. So I would always say, give them a call. Send them an email, give them a call. Hey, we just submitted 10 pools. Can you see if you see them on your end, and can you try and do your whatever you do as a custodian to get this out as soon as possible? Because they have to check the documents. They have to make sure the data that you send in GeniNet matches what they have on those mortgage notes and whatever documentation that's needed that they keep on file. So they have to do that. So sometimes they might not see the notification, so there's nothing wrong with calling them and telling them that. Next slide, please. And this is just what happens in the custodian shop. Once they get the pool, they go in and do the certification. Of course, they check that. They want to make sure everything that they have on file matches with the data that was what was sent in. Now, if the custodian finds something wrong, they cannot go in and edit. They can go in and reject. They have the ability to reject the pool, and the way GeniNet is set up, you're not rejecting a loan, you're rejecting the entire pool back to the custodian. And just like I always say, you call the custodian, I hope the custodian will do the same, that they found an error or send you an email, so we're rejecting this pool. It could be a typo. It could be a name, it could be, should have been Wade Gale, and they have, could have been Wade G-A-Y-L-E, and they have Wade G-A-L-E. They have the right to actually make a rejection for that. It could be that the address is not correctly spelled. They have the right to reject those things too. So just be careful if they reject. You want to look out for those and make the changes right away. Apply the edits again and submit and tell them the pool is out there. So in GeniNet, sometimes there are some rejection codes. Rejection codes might be a little bit old right now, but if they reject and use one of those codes, it's going to show up on the 11705 screen. Initially, when I showed you, it says description. That's what will fill in from the custodian in red, that the pool was rejected because of that reason. And you have that certification communication information in the single family training guide, page 112, and so you can look at that if you want to know the full process. This is on the custodian side. Certify and reject. Next slide, please. Okay, 11708, that's the request for release of documents. If you're new, most likely you will not be using this. This is a part of GeniNet. It's not mandated by GeniNet that the users must use this form to do this request. I know other people have used other ways of getting this information. Either you fax something or you send someone an email, and that's where you do that. But I just want to let you know, we have the process in, you can do the request in the GeniNet system itself. Request for release of documents. You're filling out this information and you're sending it off to the custodian to send that information back to you. So when the information goes over to them, they acknowledge it. and then they maybe give you a date when they'll send the package out to you. You can track all of this on the system itself. And also there's a section there for the reason why you're making the request. So it could be because the pool is paid in full. So it could be because of, and some other reasons there. Paid in full is one I usually say. Delinquency is another thing. So you have some, I think it's like 6 reasons. The last one is usually other. So it's a free for all. You can type in that field. So this, I know most people that I speak to have their own system or their way of doing this, and they said that works for them. But just in case you want to try this, you have the ability to request the documentation here. What I would suggest you just want to let the custodian know, because they might themselves are not used to someone sending a request for documents via GeniNet, but we have the ability to do that in GeniNet. Next slide, please. Okay, GeniNet final certs and recerts. Final certification, of course, is once a new pool is issued, the issuer is required to perform a final certification, which must be completed no later than 12 months after the issue date of the related security. So you want to remember that. Final certs must be completed no later than 12 months after the issue date of the related security, the issue date. Now, recertification comes in if there is an issuer portfolio transfer or a document custodian transfer. The issuer of record is required to submit a recertification for all affected pools 12 months from the effective transfer date to GeniNet. All certification on the pool level are to be, and all recertification are to be submitted via GeniNet. Let me read that recertification piece again. If there's a issuer portfolio transfer, that means you use the PTS system, pool transfer system, to make the portfolio switch, or a document custodian transfer, you decide to move some of your files to a different document custodian. Those are transfers. The issuer of record is required to submit a recertification of all affected pools 12 months from the effective transfer date to GeniNet. All certifications, recertification on a pool level, and are to be submitted via GeniNet. So when you're doing recertification, you're putting in the pool information, the previous issuer and who the current issuer is. If you're doing a document custodian transfer recertification, you're putting in who the previous custodian is and who the new custodian you're going to send this information to now. So those are some of the things that are currently done in the GeniNet space. And I know in your shop it might be separation of duty. You might not do the research or the recertification. There might be another group, but we just want to make sure we're giving you that information. Because I know over the years, talk to people, you do new pools and you do the process of the new pools. Another area does the final or recertification. Next slide, please. And this just gives you the picture of what happened. 1, issuer selects GeniNet option for recertification. Issuer enter pool to be recertified. And issuer applies GenMay edits and submit pool to document custodian. 1A, issuer retrieves loan detail from the GeniNet for final certification. 2, issuer completes certification process, including loan substitution if that's needed. Issuer selects option to apply certification edits. Issuer applies the GenMay edits and the system flag those that pass the edits. Then 3, issuer selects pool to transmit certified pool. GeniNet transmit loan detail of pools to be certified by the custodian. GeniNet send notification to the custodian that there is a pool to be certified in GeniNet. And then, of course, the custodian received the notification that there's a pool to be certified in GeniNet, and the custodian performed the certification. So this just kind of give you what happened, what the diagram to tell you what happens in the certification and recertification space. Next slide. Okay, we have a demo. I think that's number 5, and I think that has to do with a final certification. Let's roll that, and I don't know if I'm talking through this again, but we'll see. Okay, so I think I'm talking through this. Okay, let's go. So we're on the issuer side. We're going to go to host application because it's now time for us to do the final certification. We're going to go to certification, and we have some options. We can create a manual list, or we can put in an initial certification date. We're going to do the pool manually. Once we have the pool for certification, we're going to go down and submit. And this comes up with our GMAP MyGenMate information. Put in your user ID and password and click on OK. Brings up the RSA token information. You put that in, your 4-digit PIN, and of course the 6-digit passcode that comes from the RSA fob. Once that's generated, suggest you wait if it's noticed like it's getting on to like 2 seconds. So to just clear it and start with 6 different numbers. And I think that's what we were doing here. Just want to get the numbers clear up. Here it comes. Here it comes. There it is. Okay. And that goes in. Retrieved successfully. So you retrieve that pool for final search. Now, once the pool is retrieved for final search, you can actually go to data entry, certification, single family processing, and you can look at the information on pool detail. Let's put the pool number in. And that's the pool. You notice that the pool edit status there says edit pass. Transfer status says certified. And everything on the pool at this point is in red. But you need to make some changes to, at this point you can also add a code. Like the pool was paid in full, you can click on that and add that. Update. That's the final search. Now, since you made a change, you have to apply the GenMate edits. So we're going to go down to apply edits. That pool should show up on our list. Bring it over and apply the edits. And once it's passed, you're able to go through the submission. It's basically the same submission. We click on host. Certification, bring up the pool in for final search. And click on OK. And then we go through the RSA token submit at the bottom now. Then you're going to verify your MyGenMate ID and password. And this is for final search. You retrieve the pool. So that's a new thing for the issuer. You're now retrieving data. Put in your 4-digit PIN. And wait for that RSA passcode. It's coming. There it is. Let's click on OK. And we want to see what comes up on the screen after it does its validation. Okay. Please wait. Something is happening behind there. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. This one did take a little while when we were doing there it is. Submit successful. Now, right away, that pool went over to a notice was generated and sent over to the custodian. Now, we just want to go back to the 11.7.05 screen just to see what comes up on our end. At this point, the system generates a new number, and it's now called FCFTN. That's the new number that identifies with a pool because we're now doing final certification because Son by Way Gale, the edit pass, it was posted. So that pool is now available for the custodian to go in and do the final cert. Of course, they're going to do their check again and make sure everything is okay. So that's the final cert in a nutshell. That was very, very quick, but we just want to give you an idea how this is done. The issuer retrieves the pool for final cert. The issuer has to go in and retrieve the pools. You can do it individually by putting in the pool number. You can have a date range to when those pools were issued, and you select from that list. Just to let you know, a lot of times this is one of the common things for final cert. You retrieve the pool, you make the changes, and then you somehow, I don't know why, they went again and retrieved the pool and submit the pool to the custodian, and then we get a call saying, I just did my final certification and I made my changes and I submitted to the custodian, and they're saying they're not seeing it. And I'm like, right away I know what happened. I said, did you go in and edit that pool and make your changes and then go out and retrieve the pool again? And the person on the other end would say yes. And I said, that's it. Because you retrieved twice. So whatever changes you made was overridden with the second, with that second transmission that came in. So once you retrieve, you make your changes, apply your edits, you just go ahead and submit. And that's the mistake that they were getting. They went and retrieve again. So I just wanted to bring that to you because it does happen. And that's one of the most common errors in doing the final certification. Okay, next slide. And these are just some of the screens just for what we showed, just what happens in that space for the final certification. Next slide, please. And again, just what I select for final certification or select for recertification. We just want to show you how the screen looks if you're doing both. And you can do both and send them in one transmission. Just be aware of that. Next. Polling question. Wow, this is the first one other than those fun ones today. So Maribel, let's launch our polling questions. The first one, how should I submit pools for final certification, recertification? Select all that apply. Issuer will continue to process pools for final cert. Great, JennyNet. What are the, can we see the, open it up to see the other? Issuers can submit recertification using GMAP 1.0. Issuers must continue to process pools for recertification on JennyNet. We have 7 people who said issuers can submit a manual recertification request. Okay.
Hey Wade, we got 70 participants in the room, and I got about 28 people in the poll or less. Are you guys awake out there? Good morning. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Okay. Walk on by people. Maybe that might wake them up. Oh, it did. Okay, so I think 84% of the group gets that. Issuers will continue to process pools for recertification on GenNet. I noticed that 19 people, I'm not going to say you're wrong. Issuers can submit a manual recertification. We still accept manual recertification. I haven't seen one in ages, but if some people, you can still do that. And our group in Oriskany, New York, handles the manual recertification, but I haven't seen one in years. I think most people realize that the pool was initially done via GenNet. Might as well do the research or the final search via GenNet. So those two answers can work, but the main one is number one. Issuers will continue to process the pools for recertification on GenNet. Next. Next question. Which reason code are not applicable when completing the HUD Form 11708 request for release of documents? If you're familiar with those codes, the first one is paid in full. The second one is credit score drop, right? The third one is loan substitution. The fourth one is default. And the fifth one, I don't have a vote. And these are some of the reasons that they will also put for if you're doing a final search and the loan was paid in full, you have the ability to do that. And again, I know there are more people out there, so let's get some more people getting a part of the poll. We're doing this just as a refresher, just to make sure people we're following through and understand what we were saying during the process. So we really appreciate your participation. Yes, the answer is credit score drop. That one is not there at all. We just made that up. We just said we'll just choose that one. So the answer is credit score drop. Paid in full is actually one of the options. So yes, that's one of the options there. Next poll question. Final certification is due. I remember saying this one. Final certification is due within 12 months after the pool is certified, within 12 months after the effective date of the transfer, or within 12 months after the pool's issue date. This one is kind of tricky. But who remembered what I said? 12 months after the effective transfer date, 12 months after the pool issue date, and we're talking here about final certification. 12 months after the pool is certified. So which one do you think you heard and remembered and you think is the correct answer? Give you one more minute. This is a split, but I guess people heard some other things. Okay, 12 months, within 12 months after the pool is certified is actually not the answer. Within 12 months after the effective transfer date, that's for recertification. So you just wanted that one. The second answer would go for recertification. The answer is 12 months after the pool's issue date. So you have 12 months to make sure all your documentation are good enough before you do your final search. So it's answer C. Letter C is the third one is the answer there. 12 months after the effective date is for research. 12 months after the pool is certified is just just one of the things we threw out there because we know it might be a little bit confusing in terms of what answer we're looking for. So the answer is within 12 months after the pool issue date. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. We really appreciate your effort in answering these polls for us. Next slide. Oh, question and answer. So this is, anybody has anything to ask? And I'll let Letitia run this piece.